Hi everyone, welcome back to our Little Slaw YouTube channel. So today we are going to dive into a topic that I see causing a lot of confusion, and I have literally got lots and lots of questions on this, even in the YouTube channel video comments and even in the WhatsApp channel group as well. So let's today see the difference between the UI performance testing and the TruClient performance testing, and I want to be super clear about what we mean by UI performance testing here. So when I say UI performance testing, I'm going to talk about the front end performance testing. You know, the stuff we do with the Lighthouse, measuring the core web vitals, checking your first contentful paint, the FCP, the LCP, the largest contentful paint, and all those metrics that Google cares about for SEO and user experience. And this is completely different from load testing. And that's where a lot of people gets confused. So if you have ever wondered when you should be running Lighthouse audits versus when you need to fire up your load runner to client or Selenium grid to test with multiple users. So this video is for you, and by the end of this video you will understand exactly when to focus on page speed optimization versus when you need to test your system's capacity under load. And here is what we're going to cover today. Firstly, I'll break down the core differences between the front end performance testing and load testing because they solve completely different problems, and then we will get into the technical and look at the tools and metrics for each approach. And after that I will get you uh, I'll give you a honest analysis of the strengths and limitations of both methods. So we'll explore specific scenarios where each approach is essential, and finally I'll show you how these two approaches actually work together as a complementary strategy. The goal is simple here, guys. You will walk away knowing whether you need to optimize your page speed or test your system capacity or both, and you will never again get confused within in between the front end performance optimization with load testing. Let's dive into the video. So I've started the first, let's complete, and now moving on to the second slide. So the fundamental differences between UI and TrueClient. So let's start with the fundamental differences, and this is very crucial to understand because these two approaches solves completely two different problems. So when I talk about UI performance testing, and I want to be very crystal clear here. So this is front end performance testing, and we are talking about lighthouse audits, core web vitals, measuring things like first contentful paint, the largest contentful paint, cumulative layout shift. Yes, this is what we are seeing for the last 3-4 videos. 3-4 days, right? And this is all about optimizing the user experience for a single user. So when you run a Lighthouse audit in Chrome Dev Tools, you are doing a UI performance testing, and the focus here is entirely on page load performance, which is how fast your page render, how quickly can a user interact with it, is your layout stable. These are the metrics that Google uses for SEO rankings, and they directly impact the user experience. So we all know tools like Lighthouse, Web Page Test, GT Metrics, they're all measuring how well your front end performs for one user under ideal conditions. On the other hand, the true client performance testing, which is loading with real browsers, because this is where you're spinning up the multiple browser instances, maybe 50, maybe 500, and having them hit all your applications simultaneously. So you're testing the scalability, you're testing the capacity. So now the point here is, can your system handle the Black Friday traffic? So what happens when you have 1,000 concurrent users who are all trying to check out at the same time? So here, the critical insight is UI performance testing asks how fast does my page load for one user, while your true client asks how well does my system perform when many users access it simultaneously. So these are fundamentally different questions, right? So you could have a perfectly optimized page that loads in under 2 seconds when tested alone, but if your backend cannot handle concurrent users, the same page might take 30 hard seconds to load during peak traffic. So that's why you need both the approaches. And then the third slide is the technical implementation. So now let's get into technical and talk about how these approaches actually work, because understanding the implementation will help you choose the right tool for the job. So with UI performance testing, you are primarily using the Lighthouse and similar tools, but when you run a Lighthouse audit, so here here is what it happens. So Chrome opens your page in a controlled environment. It measures every aspect of the loading process. When the first content appears, when the largest element loads, or whether the layout shifts around and gives you specific recommendations for improvement. So here the key metrics is you're covering all, I mean, like you're basically measuring the core web vitals, like first contentful paint. That's when user sees the first piece of content, the largest contentful paint, which is when the main content is visible. Again, the cumulative layout shift, which is where the elements move around as the page loads, because these metrics directly impact your Google search rankings and user satisfaction. So you can run these tests from multiple locations on different devices with various network conditions. On the other hand, tools like web page test lets you test from dozens of locations worldwide. So we're going to see again as a separate videos on how to use web page test, while page speed insights gives you both lab data and real user data from Chrome users. The beautiful thing about UI performance testing is that it's incredibly accessible. Yes, so because Lighthouse is built right into Chrome Web Tools, you can run an audit on any page in seconds, and the insights are actionable. Compress this image, eliminate render blocking resources, optimize your CSS. Now, coming back to the TruClient performance testing, it's completely a different beast, I would say, because you're actually launching multiple browser instances, real Chrome or Firefox browsers, and then you orchestrate them to simulate concurrent user behavior, because each virtual user gets their own browser. We know that, right? And they loads the actual pages, they executes a JavaScript and measures the response times under realistic load conditions. So the complexity here is managing hundreds or thousands of browser instances, and you need serious infrastructure, multiple servers, load balancing, even resource management. So right, tools like LoadRunner, TrueClient, or Selenium Grid helps orchestrate this, but you are still dealing with the overhead of running the actual process. Yes, so the key difference here is in resource requirements, it's dramatic, I would say, because UI performance testing can run on any laptop. Yes, it's testing one user's experience, but on the other hand, the true client, you might require dozens of servers to simulate realistic load scenarios. And then moving on to the fourth slide, talking about the pros and cons of UI and TrueClient. So starting with the UI, I will say let's be honest about the strengths and limitations of each approach, because understanding their trade-offs is very crucial for making the right choice. Because I'll start with UI performance testing, which is using Lighthouse and any other similar tools like GTmetrix or web load test. So the advantages are really compelling because there is a direct SEO impact. Yes, Google uses core web vitals as ranking factors. So improving your Lighthouse score literally help your search rankings. And I have seen these sites jump several positions just by optimizing their page speed. I've literally seen that. And the user experience focus is huge because you're measuring what the users actually perceive and how long they wait to see the content, whether the page feels responsive, if elements jump around while loading, because these metrics correlate directly with the user satisfaction and conversion rates. And it's incredibly easy to implement because Lighthouse is built into Chrome. Anyone can run it. You can run it. Anyone can run it, because you can integrate it into your CI/CD pipeline, sets the performance budgets, and you can even catch the regressions before they hit production. And most of the time, or most of the scenarios, the tools are free. The basic tools are very free, and you get actionable insights. When I say actionable insights, Lighthouse does not just tell you your page is slow, it tells you exactly why and how to fix it as well. Yes, and you have to compress this image, like defer the JavaScript, eliminate the render blocking CSS, something like this. But here are the limitations, I will say, on the other hand, because you're testing under controlled lab conditions that might not reflect real world usage patterns, the network conditions, or device constraints. Yes, it's expected, it's there already. But coming back to the true client testing, the advantages are about the realism and scale. So you're testing with real browsers who are executing real JavaScript. So you're seeing exactly what the user will experience under load. And here you can validate that your optimized pages actually work well when your system is under stress. And then the scalability validation is very crucial because you can identify exactly how many concurrent users your system can handle before the performance gets degraded. And this is essential for capacity planning, especially if you're expecting traffic spikes. You get an end-to-end performance insights, not just front-end metrics. You can also see how the back-end performance impact the overall user experience when the system is under load. But here you should remember the limitations as well. It's resource intensive and expensive. You need powerful infrastructure to run hundreds of powerful browser instances. And the setup is complex, I will say, yes, and the tools are often require expensive licenses. The script maintenance can be a nightmare because browser-based tests are sensitive to UI changes. So if developer changes a small button ID or if he moves an element to a different section of the page, your test will break. You have to again rebuild from the scratch. So here is my honest take. Neither approach tells the complete story because you need both the perspectives to truly understand your application's performance. And then moving on to the last slide, where we're going to talk about choosing the UI performance testing or when to choose the TruClient and then the best practice and quick decision framework. So this is the most important part. So when should you actually use each approach? So let me give you a clear practical guideline. So choosing the UI performance testing when you're focused on optimizing user experience and page speed. If your goal is to make your pages load faster, improve your search rankings or enhance the user experience, because Lighthouse and Core Web Vital testing is exactly what you need, and use it for SEO improvement. So Google explicitly uses Core Web Vitals as ranking factors. If your Lighthouse scores are poor, you're literally losing search traffic. If I have helped the clients improve their organic traffic by 40% just by optimizing their core Web Vitals, and it is perfect for front-end optimization work, for optimizing images, for eliminating render blocking resources, for improving JavaScript performance. So the feedback is immediate and actionable. And when it comes to mobile performance testing, it's another key use case, I would say, because you can test how your site performs on different devices and on different conditions, different network conditions. This is very crucial because mobile users are often on slower connections and less powerful devices. And again, for quick performance audits, nothing beats it. You can run a Lighthouse audit in just 30 seconds. You can get a comprehensive overview of your page's performance issues. And now talking about the true client performance testing, when you need to understand your system's capacity under load. So if you're asking how many users can my system handle, or will my site survive Black Friday traffic, you need true client testing. Yes, so you can use it for peak traffic preparation. So before any major sales events or before any product launches or even marketing campaigns that will drive significant traffic. So you need to validate that your system can handle the load. And again, the core thing is it is essential for scalability validation or scalability testing. So you need to know your breaking point and at what number of concurrent users does performance degrade. Where are the bottlenecks in your system? And for end-to-end performance testing, TruClient gives you the complete picture. So you're not just testing the front end, you're testing how the entire system performs under realistic load conditions. And talking about the production readiness validation, there is no substitute, because before you go live with a new application or major update, you need to prove it can handle expected traffic levels. But here's my best practice recommendations based on my experience. I will say this is really important. Use a complementary strategy. These approaches work together, they don't compete. I will say, starting with UI performance testing for optimization, make your pages as fast as possible for individual users. Get your core web vital screen, optimize your page load times, eliminate any performance bottlenecks. And talking about the true client testing for validation, ensure that those optimized pages still work when your system is under load. There is no point having a 2-second page load time if it becomes 30 seconds when you have concurrent users. And think of this way, fast um, pages plus a scalable system equals excellent user experience. So you need both. So here is my question, quick decision framework. Ask yourself, am I trying to make my page faster, or am I trying to handle more users? If it is speed optimization, use UI performance testing. And if it is capacity planning, use true client testing. And in most cases, you eventually need both. So the bottom line here is UI performance testing tells you how good your user experience can be, and TruClient testing tells you whether you can actually deliver the experience at scale. And that's a wrap. So I hope this cleared up the confusion between the front-end performance optimization and load testing. These both are very essential skills for any performance engineer, but they solve different problems and they require different approaches. If this helped you clarify things for you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more performance testing content, and drop a comment below. I want to hear about your experiences with these tools. Have you run into these situations where great Lighthouse scores did not translate to good real world performance under load? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, it's bye bye from Vasanth and your favorite little site YouTube channel. Take care and bye bye.